Hey, this is Pastor Dave, and this is your Monday Mojo. Hope you had a great weekend. So, Laura and I went down to Wilmore, Kentucky last Thursday, and we went down because we were going to be going to a concert that Thursday night at Asbury Seminary in their chapel. However, that was canceled because, as you know, there's something amazing going on in Wilmore, Kentucky. There is an awakening, a revival, or whatever you want to call it. It's happening there. Started in the university's chapel and has been going on now for 11 days, 12 days. And so we wanted to see what was going on, and so we went down and we saw and we experienced what was happening there in the chapel, and it's happening across the street in Asbury's chapel as an overflow. It's an amazing moment, and the things that I've read from those of you who've gone and people who have posted that they've been there, there's just there's a sense that comes from it that I would call freedom. Freedom. I've been doing some study and some reading on revivals, and revivals always begin with people coming before God and being completely honest and open and confessing, and they're finding freedom in that. You see, the story of Adam and Eve is a story where God is walking with them and they're walking with each other and everything is wonderful, and then the fall happens. And in that moment, something happens. They hide. They hide from each other and they hide from God. Years ago, Robert Fulghum wrote a book, and in that book, I believe it was the one entitled "It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It," is a story. And I'm just going to read you the first part of that story and then a little bit at the end, and I'll give you the link so you can go read it. But he says, "In the early dry dark of an October Saturday evening, the neighborhood children are playing hide and seek. How long since I played hide and seek? 30 years, maybe more. I remember how. I could become part of the game in a moment if invited. Adults don't play hide and seek. Not for fun, anyway. Too bad." And he tells a story about a guy who hid. And what he said was he hid too well. Getting found would have kept him in the game. Hide and seek, grown-up style. Wanting to hide, needing to be sought. Confused about being found. I don't want anyone to know. What will people think? I don't want to bother anyone. You ought to read the whole story. I'll give you the link. But here's the point. What's happening in Asbury is that students are coming before God and they're saying, I want to be found. And in order to be found, I'm going to be completely open and honest with you, God. That's the world that God created us to live in. A world where we are completely open and honest before God. We don't try to hide anything. And we don't try to hide anything from each other. The truth of the matter is the world we live in makes it very, very, very difficult to do that. But it is the world where freedom is found. It's the world where we decide not to hide anymore from each other. We become completely honest and open with each other. But more importantly, we become completely open and honest with God. And what God does in that moment is He frees up our hearts in ways that I can't even begin to describe to you. But if you happen to go to Wilmore and happen to see what's happening there, you will see what could happen anywhere and everywhere if we would be willing to open up our hearts to God that way. I don't think it's a mistake that this is happening at the beginning of the season of Lent that starts this Wednesday. I really hope and pray and invite you to open up yourselves to the one person, the Father God, that you don't have to worry about being completely open and honest with. Because I believe the freedom you'll find will be such an amazing blessing. Anyway, that's your Monday Mojo for this week. Hope you have a great week.